Let me start with this. The talking point this morning, the main talking point that I'm hearing is this possible early return to work. The president is saying, look, we can't let the cure be worse than the problem itself. Can you update us on this? What's going on?
Well, first of all, I can reaffirm it, and he has said it. I spoke to him, I guess, Sunday evening at some length, and more conversations yesterday. It's going to be a question of balance and trade-offs, Stu. I don't want to get specific on details because they haven't been mapped out, but there's no question we have to think seriously. I would say after the 15-day period is over, which I guess ends at the end of this week or the weekend, we will take another look at the possibility of targeting areas that, you know, are safe enough. I mean, we have to do this with the assent and help of the health specialists. There's no question about that. There's no war going on. It's just a matter of where it's possible to open places that are not hot zones, for example, in order to try to expand the business reach and reduce the shut-in that's taken over the economy. Look, a bad economy, if it continues to decline, is unhealthy by itself. So that's an important point. Now, having said all that, I do want to go back to the issue of the need for Senate and House votes today. The Senate votes today. This is the largest Main Street. I emphasize Main Street. This is small businesses. This is workers. This is families. This is the largest Main Street assistance package in the history of the country. It's about $2 trillion, Stu, in terms of direct programmatic assistance, for example, on unemployment and payroll holidays and small business loan guarantees. But also, as you may know, the Federal Reserve will have the power of roughly $4 trillion of lending authority. Stu, that's a $6 trillion package. About 30% of GDP is what it could come to. So, you know, if you're a business and you're open at the beginning of the year, small business, we want you to stay open in July. That's very important. We want to help the workforce, but you can't have a job without a healthy business. This package is loaded with both, and it would go a long ways. So it helps us as we move, perhaps, I say perhaps, to a different phase where we will seek some greater balance and perhaps reopen the economy in a number of places that have been shut in.
We've heard reports from Mr. Bullard, Fed governor. We'll have 30% unemployment rate in the second quarter. GDP will plunge by 50% in the second quarter. Was it that kind of forecast, that kind of draconian, horrible impact forecast, that pushed you into thinking maybe we'd better get people back to work soon?
Well, look, Jim Bullard's an awfully smart guy, and he's a friend, so I have great respect for him. Numbers are numbers. At this stage of the game, we all know the enormous challenge and risks that lie right before us. We actually had started this conversation before that. A lot of people in business and finance, a lot of small business people, too, that's very important, have called us and talked to us to see if we could liberalize, if you will, and perhaps target more and stop as many shutdowns as we have. That doesn't mean you're going to leave social distancing. That doesn't mean we're going to walk away from the mitigating advice that we've received from our health specialists and so forth. It just means we're going to take a slightly different look at this. And I think the president would like to do something in the next couple of weeks. Again, there's nothing specific. But this financial assistance package, this Main Street financial assistance package is absolutely essential to the reopening of the economy because we know small businesses have been shut in. We know that a lot of workers are either furloughed or laid off. We want to give them 100% unemployment insurance. We want to give them direct deposit checks to tide them over and provide sufficient liquidity. We want to provide loan guarantees in so many different places. We want to deal with distressed industries and so forth and so on. So here we are with a $6 trillion package, and we may be taking a new look at the shut-ins around the country. But let's get this thing passed. Let's just get this bill passed. It's so important, and I think it'll provide some confidence. And hats off to the Fed as well as the legislators up on the Hill.
So get the $6 trillion deal in place. But there's talk about another deal, another package down the pike. What would that look like? What would that entail? Have you any idea?
Yeah, my vision, I don't have any vision for it. I can't see it, Stu. It's not coming into focus yet. I want to focus right now on the here and now. Let's stop, dilly-dallying around. And our friends on the other side of the aisle, some of their asks don't have anything to do with the virus. I don't want to blame anybody. I just want to get the package done. We're very, very close. I spoke to Secretary Mnuchin earlier this morning. We're very, very close. Let's just get that vote done, and then let's move forward. And, just to review, it's worth reviewing. The Fed is working very closely with the Treasury. We want to expand the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which is the equity piece that provides the Fed's leverage under Section 313 of the Federal Reserve Act. You go down the list, you probably have, Stu, but they're looking at student loans, auto loans, credit card loans, SBA loans, money market loans, commercial paper loans, bolstering the corporate bond market, buying government securities, buying mortgage-backed, providing sufficient liquidity to settle down these financial markets. Now, in order for the Fed to get all that done, we need to pass this Phase 3 bill because of the importance of the Exchange Stabilization Fund. I'm not sure folks understand that. Moreover, we have made compromises with the Democrats on for example, unemployment insurance, basically now 100% of wages. Earlier, we got through the sick paid leave issues for families or people who are sick or spouses or families or kids. We got through that. We've also focused on virtually the entire workforce with respect to direct dial checks coming from the IRS. We've got a business payroll tax holiday. We've got a student loan payment holiday. We've got a tax holiday coming up for several months. These are really essentials. The whole package goes together. Treasury, Federal Reserve, the Congress, the administration, we're all going to stand behind a lot of these loans. Some of them are going to be forgiven and so forth. You've probably gone through these details, but before I look down the road to another one, let's get this one done. That's the important thing, I think, in terms of today's activity.
Treasury Secretary Mnuchin has, we are told, agreed to oversight of corporations. Do you know what that means? What kind of oversight? I presume, does it mean an ownership stake in an airline or a Boeing? What does it mean?
Well, a couple things on this. I can't go into deep details on this, but there's always oversight. Whether we go back to 2008 or whether we go back to 9/11, anytime these government programs kick in with assistance to companies, there's transparency, there's oversight, always. With respect to taking an equity position, one of the options here is to have taxpayers take a position, maybe through warrants. Some of these larger public companies, certainly we worry about the airline business. You can't have an economy without airlines. And so those things all go in place. The idea that this is some kind of slush fund is simply not the case. The ESF is essential. And the Federal Reserve has always been open and transparent on this, and so has the Treasury. And there's always been conditionality imposed. I'm going to wait in terms of the details on the conditionality. But this is above board. Everyone will get a chance to see it. Nothing's going to be hidden. And we're just trying to get the basic essentials of the economy. Just let me repeat. This is the biggest Main Street financial package in U.S. history. And again, with regard to payrolls, keeping payrolls going and keeping the small business going. If you're in business at the beginning of the year, we want you to be in business when hopefully, prayerfully, this pandemic in the U.S. will calm down or leave us. I think it's a matter of weeks and months. Prayerfully, that is the case. And we want to keep people going with enough liquidity and enough cash so they can get through this. And then, Stu, because we had a strong economy in the first place, January and February was growing 3%. Because we've had pro-growth policies on taxes and regulations and trade reform, I believe, again, prayerfully, when this virus thing settles down, that we can have a snapback in the economy. We can get a V-shaped recovery. And that's the key point, so we don't suffer long term. This is not about years. This is about weeks and months.
How will if we get a snapback, a nice solid rebound at the end of this, what would the economy look like? What would be the differences from, say, the way it was 4 weeks ago?
Well, I'm not sure what you're thinking about here.
Well,
I think
business travel, for example, online learning, travel, leisure, is that going to bounce back the way it was?
It could, Stu. I think once confidence returns, that may not happen all at once. You know, I'm thinking more of basic manufacturing. Healthcare is the most brilliant industry in this country. And, you know, what President Trump has done with the help of his advisors and the help of the private sector. Let me make it just a point here. One of the innovations the president has done is brought in the private sector. They are working with us with respect to vaccines, with respect to therapies and medicines, with respect to the distribution of key medical supply, masks and testing units and so forth. America has the greatest private sector, innovative, technologically advanced private sector in the world, okay? And we have put that to work. So I think some of these industries are going to be even more streamlined. Now, there's no question there's going to be great care and caution as we move ahead. As people go back to work, we can get them back to work. They go about their business. If they're healthy, hopefully, we'll get a sign-off on that from our healthcare experts and from the president. But I'm just saying more caution will be exercised about this. And in that respect, the country will change. But look, in fairness, nobody expected this kind of virus spreading and going into every nook and cranny of the economy. This was something that nobody was able to foresee. So we'll never be quite the same, but there's no reason why essential industries can't go back to work rapidly if we get a flattening of the curve, if we start opening up sectors again, and if we, you know, the main thing here, I guess I'll come back to this, I hate to be redundant, but we've just got to make sure our businesses stay alive as much as possible, and our workforce is ready so they're healthy and they can, you know, be able to survive and have the cash flow to meet family needs and whatnot in the next few weeks. That's really the key point. Then we can go back into our free enterprise economy, which has always been the best in the world. We were on a roll a few months ago. There's no reason why we can't roll up again.
Larry Kudlow, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on a very, very important day. Always much appreciated, Larry.
Thank you, Stu.
Be well.
I appreciate it,
well.
too. Thank you. You too.